Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 18:02, and we can stand to do pledge of allegiance, please, which there's a flag over there. And Mr. Zagoda, since you are the new member, would you like to start the pledge of allegiance? Please? Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okey dokey. Do we have any public comment? Do we have public here? Any others are here? Okay. Okay, I guess no public comment. The minutes, we are looking to approve the March 6th, 2024 minutes. Is there any changes or additions to the minutes? If that, then I shall entertain a motion to accept the minutes, please. Okay, we got Sean and Dan McCartney or Crystal or whoever you want. Okey dokey. And all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okey dokey. Correspondence? Any questions on the correspondence or?
I only got two of them.
Okay,
Got one from the law firm for bill for services provided and a letter from the New York State Department of Health regarding Greg Hill's representation in New York State Emergency Services Council expiring on 12/31/23. They're requesting a new letter of nomination.
oh, so we need a letter of nomination for,
Yeah, that was 42, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, we gotta do that.
We usually have to nominate two people,
Okay,
I believe.
Okay.
Take one at the letter.
okay.
No, it's Chris.
That was right, because that's correct. Okey dokey. Okay, any questions on the correspondence? Okay, treasurer's report, but
I did email the report. Well, after 4 o'clock, I apologize. Hopefully, does anyone need a copy of the report? If you didn't get it, I do have copies. To date, we've spent $8,069.10. The remaining balance is $16,930. We do have some other expenditures to anticipate before the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of, I'm sorry, yes, the end of June. The stress reduction program for 2,500 yet to be paid. And I will get an invoice from them and make that payment as soon as I receive that. South Wales Fire Department, also the same thing. As soon as I receive an invoice for the $500 for use of the hall, I will make that payment. And there is one more payment, quarterly payment to UEMS, $1,631. So that'll be another $4,631 to be spent. And there should be about 12,000 remaining. Are there any questions on any of the expenditures?
okay, if not, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Motion made.
Okay, second. Okay, Dan. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okey dokey. Is that a defective chair?
Another defective chair.
Another defective chair.
Like the phone.
Okay, well, you know, you're on, Mr. Jill, for medical advisory committee, or you wanna do it, Brian? Since you've been having.
The REMAC met on March 18th. They had a number of discussions. Chief among them was the draft interfacility transport protocol that was circulated. Committee chaired by Todd Reisner from Trans Am Priority or Priority Trans Am. That is still up for cabinet discussion with some interesting structural changes there. If you're interested, email probably Rob to get it or somebody, but there's something there. New bylaws were circulated and tabled. There are a couple structural issues with proposed changes, but the REMAC is looking to adjust their meeting frequency to quarterly, hoping to get more participation in the structure and to engage more of the medical directors in the region. Other than that, I'm sure we'll hear in Rob's report tonight about anything else that's going on. And I think those are the only things of significance from that meeting, unless you can think of anything else.
No, I think that. Other than hospitals have to have their recordings up by June, I think.
They're,
All hospitals required to have recording capabilities.
Yeah.
By June. In July. So it's coming.
did they say what year? That was it from Remac.
That was it from Remac. Any questions for either Brian or Rob? Okey dokey, moving on. Some school, Mr. Gill.
Subsco meets next week. I'm sure some of the topics in the discussion will be quite interesting after the agenda yet. But I'm sure we put it out there, but what's a better report for next month?
Okay, any questions?
Just follow up on a couple points there.
Okay.
We had the budget discussion the last time. Part V did not get included in the final agreed upon budget. Many of the elements of Part V are in current legislation. The leading bill on that is Senate Bill 4020, C is in Charlie, coming from Senator Mayer. If you're interested in reading that, that includes the changed definition of EMS. EMS is an essential service, comprehensive statewide plan, comprehensive regional plan, new training plan, and a few other issues. So that's in the work session right now for the legislature. May be resolved in the next couple of weeks, but if anybody's interested in taking a look at that, there's plenty of stuff that impacts us there. And also worth mentioning, because I don't think we've talked about it before, is the OSHA notice of proposed rulemaking for 1910 of the Code of Federal Regulations. That currently exists, and I'll tell you how outdated it is, in a title called fire brigades. They're moving from fire brigades to emergency responders or emergency something. I can't remember exactly how it was titled. There are a lot of changes in there. I know it's an impact at the agency level, but if you haven't seen that, go check out like the National Volunteer Fire Group's position on it, or talk to NFPA or NYSFARA, whatever affiliations they are, or if you want links, let me know. But there are a lot of changes, including changes for mental health resources, changes for physical requirements that don't currently exist for EMS that will become a factor. Biannual physical testing, including spirometry, which is not a thing that we have to address. So a lot of potential changes there. Public comment is only open until June 21st. It's expected to close on June 21st. As of about 15 minutes ago, they've received 774 comments, most of which are of the variety, we don't like OSHA, you suck, don't do this. That's not going to be enough to move the needle. So if you're going to comment and are looking for resources, talking about the impact it will have on your ability to recruit and retain, talking about the size and shape of your organization, costs in terms of annual expenses for that spirometry and physical testing, costs for membership, structured costs, things like that. They're looking for really impact statements, not just statements of feeling. So
Can I ask Brian? I just got back from what DC has done in 4 days dealing with this issue. And very similar to what Brian said, it's important to put those comments in there. Our next move, as all the primary associations that were in attendance down the hill, to submit, we're going out to reach out to all the coordinators. And the coordinators are going to try and get each county to submit a comment as well, and also submit a resolution on a county level to all their elected officials on the state, local, and federal levels, and have them address it as well. We did find out when we were down there, we were very, very lucky to get the 45-day extension. We asked for 120, and normally they don't give those out at all. So that worked out well. We're still gonna go for another 45 with this being talked about, and try and get some more time to digest this. It's gonna impact everybody financially hard. In the firefighter side of life, it's gonna double the hours that are needed for interior firefighter to go to work. And apparatus, fire apparatus, I'm not sure on the ambulance side. Part of that is they're gonna want trucks replaced every 15 years. At a tune of right around $9 a piece for the most part. So this is very, very significant. And it's gonna affect all the municipalities as well, so, the more noise we make as the first responders in New York State, the better we are. And it affects our whole country too. If anybody tells you it doesn't affect New York State, they're wrong, because the first responders in this state are employees. There are two states it's not gonna affect them, but it's gonna hurt.
Don't count on that additional 45 days. A lot of the lobbyists and legal people that I've been talking to are saying that the push here is to try to get this done before we get anywhere close to November, because they're worried about a shift in the administration.
Yep, exactly.
So don't count on getting another 45 days. I think June 21st is what we've got. And, the best we can hope for is probably slowing the enforcement. So the standards are gonna come about, but that there will be a lengthened implementation period.
Yeah, and the implementation time is, up in the air as well.
Right.
And again, one fact, if you're writing, put in writing, there's not support firefighter and EMS personnel, first responder safety, that's all about safety. Well, the way they went about this, they didn't include the volunteers of the communities and stuff like that. They never had a seat at the table. Our leader within our group of 4 associations, Dave Dennison, you probably heard his name get dropped a couple times. He's very knowledgeable, very passionate about this, and he's got a seat. He sits on this executive board that NFBFC put together, and he's gonna be leading the drive along with NF whatever. So, but yeah, more noise about it. Thank you.
Where is the opposition coming from?
Opposition to what?
Where's the pushback coming to that? There's what we're asking for.
We're the pushback.
Yeah, and
OSHA.
what's driving some of the changes?
It's gonna ruin the volunteer fire service.
Yeah,
And the
It's perceived safety. It's all the things that you think it is, what the current rattlings about workplace safety and just examples that come to mind. Any new sleeping quarters you occupy, not built. So if we made this room into sleeping quarters, we have to sprinkler it. Stuff like that that's starting to emerge.
DOS systems.
NFPA though, IAFF, the number of professional fire services have already been engaged on this and are endorsing it. So.
It's a funny question with the IAFF, the executives are endorsing it, but the local chapters,
I know,
they're totally against it.
but
Guess who's got power?
yes,
So,
so there are a lot of endorsements, and it's largely because the professional side's already doing it. And they're already doing CPATs, they're already doing things that are not part of the equation for EMS. We'd have to be writing standards about evaluating fitness. There's risk assessments. That's gonna be one of the biggest burdens is having to do risk assessments for everybody. Which we can certainly share that amongst each other, but it'll be.
and it has to be updated frequently too. It's not just create a pre-plan and put it on the shelf. It's gotta be revisited and everything. And they're talking to the tune of, I think it was like 700 some hours, something like that, just administrative cost.
Wow.
Just to keep them to get away with it.
I think
And the physicals, the physicals and stuff like that, if you don't meet their new criteria, you're done, you're out. So somebody's not quite there, sorry, thanks anyways. You're done. You know,
So that's where I was going. Was there any consideration to the fact that once they set the standards, if people can't meet them, a considerable population that work for you, aren't going to work. So they're gonna take and they're gonna further damage an already weak workforce.
it's not a recruitment tool for sure, you know, so.
I think, Greg, it's a great point. It's come up in a lot of the calls. But one of the issues there is it's not clear yet if they're gonna set the standard or if the standard is that the agency has to set a standard. So there may be a degree of flexibility there. It might not be an OSHA standard other than to say the agency has to set it, and then you would create your own version of PAT.
Well, they did reference 22 NFPA standards in that,
Right.
and they used shall and must 1,500 times. And that makes it a rule.
You count it?
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying it is a rule, but the rule would be the agency has to institute a standard,
Or
not.
adapt it. They can go above and beyond.
Right.
Yes.
So there was a number of things that came up there. It's gonna be ugly, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, so I encourage you to look to somebody that's already summarized it. It's 608 out of the Federal Register and starts on page 7,779.
There's a lot of the companies that have like abbreviated PowerPoints and summary of them. State Association of Fire Chiefs, yeah, all of the associations.
The big site to go to is, New York State Fire District.
I thought the
They got a lot of
NVFA was really
webinars.
good too.
Pardon?
The NVFC one was
Yeah,
really
they're a
good.
big one. And see what happened when this came out a few years ago. This is a 44-year-old rule. It used to be the fire brigade rule, which they haven't updated, and then after 9/11, constant on track. So, not a lot of track.
What if you want to-
Yeah.
what rate?
Yeah.
I think he does.
Anyways, I lost that.
We'll say, so everybody's aware, this has been a work in progress since 2016, and a lot of the responses from OSHA have been, we've been working on this since 2016, we don't know why you're surprised. So,
Oh, I know. So originally, they told NFPFC that it didn't allow the volunteers. When it first came out, they were targeting the city and stuff like that. So the NFPFC backed out of it. Okay, because they weren't gonna have to be involved. And all of a sudden, somebody read it further and we're having involved.
Thank you. Okay, Greg, do you have anything more to add?
No, that's a showstopper right there.
Okay, Rob? Since you're usually in the know on this stuff too, Mike?
I've just heard snippets of it, I've not looked into it.
Okay, any questions from anybody? From any of the SumSchool report? Okay, then we can move on. Erie County, Greg Gill.
Erie County continues to be there, the work from the city of Buffalo today is they're in great shape, but they're raising taxes 9%. So, it's kind of comical. I'm gonna defer over to Ken, just talk a little bit about our educational, group.
All right, just finished up instructor update. And that yielded a lot of conversation amongst a number of CICs. So we put together a education roadmap committee, consistent of a number of ICs, an ally or two, to basically go through and do kind of a self-assessment on how we do business from an education perspective. So in that, we're trying to create some consistency across the boards with delivery. So any IC can come in and we can give them basically a roadmap on how to be successful, standardizing curriculums, text, practical skills evaluation, going through that whole process with that, even down to as granular as putting together a boilerplate schedule that's followed with a standardized curriculum. So we can assess progress for testing with students. We'll have control over and monitoring of testing from that perspective. So it's gotten a lot of traction in a short period of time. So we just hope to see a lot of stuff yield from that.
We did have people put on it that not everybody's a light thinker, with different perspectives. The conversations, none of that gets me kind of woken up or excited in my age right now, but the conversation at the table was wonderful. Poor Ken had listened to me for about an hour and a half after on the phone because it just it generated so much information. We have the same goal, it's just different ways to do it, and then the emails after was very good. So I'm looking forward to a lot. We have to energize the county's EMT training, sure. But the paramedic training, we're pretty much set with our agreements, and we're ready to submit to the state. We're taking a trip next week to Sunstone, and we're gonna meet with Drew. Don't tell Drew, right? We're just gonna happen to move over there and corner him, and you need about 4 people to corner him. But he's already looked at a lot of the preliminary stuff that we put together, and not officially blessed it, but said we're on the right track. We finished it up, and hopefully we'll get his go ahead to submit or correct a few things here and there, and we hope to have that done in the first class, be up, ready to start in August, September. Right, we're trying to work with the college so we don't start programs at the same time as college programs. My understanding that there were semesters, now they're switching around a little, so we have to work with DCC to make sure that we don't start classes at the same time and compete for the same. So we have a lot of things we're working on that. We just did a CLI class. We've had over 50 people interested in taking the class, which again was rather exciting, because we haven't had that turnout in a long time. Unfortunately, you can't run, there's not enough instructors to run a class of 50, there's no quality class. So we took it down to 20, and we took them as they applied, and the first 20, we put out their acceptance, we told them what they needed to do to take the class. That was gonna start in a month. Which basically was just, you know, have a letter that you're gonna teach, make sure, you're active. You know, it's really not a heavy lift. We told them that we're gonna have to give 3 presentations, a 5-minute general presentation, and 2 10-15-minute presentations. They'd be evaluated. 20 people, we picked the first 20 people, they all agreed, and by the time we got down to class time, 12 walked in, 7 walked out. I don't know what to do. So now I have 30 people who I told no to, I'm putting on hold, that might have done this class, you know, so we're only gonna get 7, if they complete it, by the way. Because as you know, a lot of people think you take the CLI class and you're CLI, but no, there's an internship, right? And the internship has some restrictions to it, and I agree with the restrictions, it's gotta be with the same course, the same IC and stuff like that. You can't start and stop, you have to complete it. They didn't like that, and it was a challenge, and then you take the written test. So we've got some ideas, and we'll bring it to your education consortium, whatever name you call it, and wait that we can start moving these kids through and get more. I just feel bad for the 30 that we didn't take, and I'm only gonna get 7, and of the 7, if anybody want to take a guess how many probably complete in the next 18 months.
3 to 4 is right.
And yeah, and that's a shame, you know, because we do need them out there. Right? And then we're gonna be working on the things about the IC training and trying to facilitate that happening. So we're gonna work on that, but that was not a good one. Anything else? I took the time, by the way, to write my notes, and I came back. So why did I try? But I'll have any, I'm available, you can call any questions you might have, or happy to let you know.
Okay, anything else? Oh, I got to leave.
Clips.
Yes, there was a good eclipse.
In case anybody missed it.
Yes, there was an eclipse, and we all lived. And we all lived through it. Yes, we
But
did.
if I could, I'm sorry, but if I could say, there was a lot of communication, a lot of interaction with the agencies, the volunteer fire companies, the EMS companies. There was a lot of communication that happened. It wasn't a whole kumbaya thing. All right, but there was a lot of discussion back and forth with the hospitals, with the media treatments and stuff like that, which was, if nothing else, it would turn out to be a good exercise for your county. Hopefully we learn something from it.
Okay. Okay,
I need to check that one.
oh, do you?
It's much cooler out here.
Okay. Do you need oxygen from the ambulance?
No, because then somebody might expect the ambulance and then the next.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'll be outside. Don't wait for it.
Okey dokey, any questions for Greg? Or Ken? Nope, neither nor, okay, Mr. Striker,
Yes,
otherwise known as Bill, you're welcome.
we did experience an eclipse as well, with no individual events. Pretty boring, a couple traffic issues, but we got over those pretty quickly. We got 2 EMS classes going, they're winding down, they've been going very well. Arcade will be hosting a PGLS class in September, it'll be September 7th and 8th. And that'll be, up in Arcade. We're gonna have another EMT class start, late summer, early fall up in the Bennington, fire station. Our newly formed, about 5 months old or so now, county EMS program going well. We've dispatched 1,025 times, it was late this afternoon. 221 of those were canceled for various reasons. Things are good there. We still are experiencing countywide. And it's not necessarily just EMS calls, the majority of them are, but our drop call rate is still hanging right around 7%. We haven't really changed much in the last 3-4 months, so. And Julia's got anything to say? Julia, a new member here. She's our operations manager for our EMS programs.
We just hired another 0.6 paramedic. What does that mean to you? It's 24 hours a week. He has to pick up at least. Moving forward, we had one of our ambulances out getting fixed. It's ready to be picked up, and we should have 3 ambulances and 2 fly cars that will be up. And we're thinking about possibly putting a 3rd ambulance up in service moving forward.
Okay, any questions for either Bill or Julia? Okay, Western New York Stress.
Stress had two. Let me pull this here up. Two debriefings, one one-on-one, and two trainings on pre-incident training, the last month.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Bill, I'm gonna put you on now for Wyoming County stress, which we have to add on. I'm gonna put that on as a.
Things are going well. We have our team all put together. We went live about 2 months ago, I guess now. There has been some one-on-one activity. We're scheduling out a meeting with the team, and just to review where we are and, where we're going forward. Again, for the team leaders, I did expect that we were able to get some funding from this organization, much appreciated. Madonna handed that one over to me tonight, so again, that'll be used for training and support, the team and further teams. Capabilities, so. Like that's it.
Okay, any questions? Okay, then let's move on to committee reports. Budget, Madonna Barbara.
Everybody received a copy of the proposed budget. Just a couple of things from the last meeting. As Bill mentioned, we're giving a check for the $1,000 for the first team. And I did include that under other expenses for next year. This is going to be an annual expenditure. I did include it in the budget. Also, originally, those monies had been included under, if you look at underline 3 and under other expenses, education and training, including but not limited to EMS personal recruitment and retention. The 1,000 wasn't in that line. I took it from there to, and we had a separate line for the first team. Also, I did have a budget which I did not include. The learning management system for EMS, is that a yearly expense for the council share? That is not listed on here. I should, if the board chooses, that's what we agreed to, actually a yearly expenditure. I will include that. I will take the $1,250 out of there's another $6,966 still in education and training. That's where we could pull monies from to support that yearly expenditure. And that would still leave $5,716 for education and training. As far as this coming year, I know there's been discussion about additional monies possibly coming from the state. I'm not planning that in the budget. That's something that hasn't been decided. Could be an additional 10 to 15.
It won't be for budget, it will be specific
Just
for
specific.
retention, so it'll be allocated.
I didn't know if that was something that they were giving us that could be
No,
made
I don't think
included
it's that. I think
in
it's
addition to,
specific.
together with the 25,000. Okay. So does anyone have any questions about any other parts of the budget or any other suggestions that they would like to make for the board to consider? We are able to place, we do have the $5,700 that'll still be in education and training, that can be used as training events come to our attention if we want to utilize monies towards those training sessions.
Okay, if that is the case, we'll be adding line 5 on the last page then for other expenses as the UBMD, what is it again, please, Madonna?
It's the learning management system.
Okay, the LMS
Portion, and it's $1,250.
UBMD LMS. And that's $1,250.
And that would bring line 3, education and training.
Yeah, down, that's minus $1,250. Okay.
So the total other expenditures will remain the same, the total of that.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. So with the budget corrected, with the UBMD learning management system in, as Madonna asked, there are no questions. May I have a motion to approve the budget? Okay, and Crystal, you willing to second them? Okay, and Crystal's willing to second it. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, that's passed. Budget done by Donna. Thank you, Madonna, for doing that. Anything else that you want to add in regards to the budget? Madonna?
Other than earlier on, I did neglect to mention during my treasurer's report, we had previously received from Twin City the $1,500 for the support for the annual awards dinner, and also I received $1,000 check from AMR. Okay, so that brings the total, I think it was 2,900. 2,900 plus dollars so far that we have remaining in that account
Okay,
for the awards.
okay, sounds good. Okay, any questions? Okay, moving on, membership. Ann Lapp, I regretfully accepted Ann Lapp's resignation from the membership committee as chair. I wish to thank Ann for all of your years of service, which date prior to me. I hate to think of how many years of service it's been. Do you know Ann?
No.
Not offhand, no, okay. And I have asked Christina Mastarella to be the new membership chair, so she's the one who's gonna be blessed. That's yours.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome anytime. Right now, is there any questions or anything for membership? Was there any pending applications? Last you knew, Ann.
They're on the membership sheet on the back. There's 3 pending.
3 pending.
There's no openings.
No
Except for
openings.
Wyoming.
Okay, except for Wyoming County.
I emailed you a copy of the updated sheet
Oh, you did? Okay. Was that recently?
back when we talked.
Back when we talked, okay. Yep, okay. Okay, and I think it's still the same 3 pending. Also, welcome to Jeff Zagoda, who got voted in at the last meeting. And, that's about it. Any questions? Okay. Systems Committee,
No report.
what?
No report.
No report, okay. Training and Ed,
No report.
no report. Back to you, Brian, for bylaws.
Yeah, it's a question if we want to pick up and resume that discussion, or we had stayed to work on that pending the discussion about the reorganization of the 5 counties. And
I think we need to pick back up in regards to the bylaws, because I think
for the next meeting.
yeah, I think the reorganization is pretty well gone and
Okay.
for right now. Okay, any questions in regards to the bylaws? For those of you that are new, our bylaws are extremely outdated. And for a lot of the things we're not really necessarily following the way the bylaws are, because we can't really follow the way the bylaws. So that's why they need to be updated. And Brian has been through it, it's been to the lawyer, it came back to the committee, and is that where we're at, where it's back to the committee again?
No, committee's reviewed it. I have a draft to circulate and reconvene the committee.
Okay.
We'll do, and see if that draft's good or if we need to change it and go from there.
Okay, okay, so hopefully we will be able to get that accomplished within the next 6 months. Okay, good. Okay, any questions for Brian in regards to bylaws? Okay, awards and public relations, Bill.
Okay, so the deadline for applications is May 17th. Ron's Pushing Company has pushed it out a couple times on theirs. I've done it the same in our county, in Wyoming County as well, so hopefully, I believe I've only had 2 received so far.
That's all I've gotten. I don't know if anybody's gotten any back to.
I have not received anything except for the Rob. It's not too good, we only got 16 days left. I don't know if there's a better way to communicate and get the word out, or.
Well, typically I notice they always wait till the last minute anyways. But I'll touch some of the bigger agencies directly and let them know.
Okay.
I think one of the things that has been problems is the fact that they have to be submitted to the state by a specific date. People look at the applications and see that date and don't realize that our date is earlier because we have to pick.
Right. So I guess, I don't know how else we can communicate, I reached out to the chiefs and captains, flag captains and stuff, on my end, so. The banquet will actually be August 28th. Again, it bounces back and forth between two counties, and so Erie County is hosting it this year. And Greg has made arrangements to have it back where we were in 2022, at the Hillcrest Fire Department. We have a letter drafted here, that to secure out the facility for that date, the kitchen and whatnot. And, everybody's happy with that. We can sign that and move forward and, give them a $600 deposit to secure the date. In the facility.
And I'm working on a speaker. So we can control the speaker and,
The state's requirement.
yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm gonna tell you one thing.
Surprise.
We'll turn around, go back to the.
Okay, so I can write the check for the, to Hillcrest for the deposit out of this year's earnings, so that would cover the annual membership meetings. Under other expenses, we
Okay, is that okay with everybody, or what did you say, August 28th? August 28th.
That'll be our actual meeting, and there was a resolution we felt like the last meeting.
I would vote.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, August 28th, okay.
we have $1,388 remaining in that line. Typically, we do, we have in the past, if we had new awards. And then we can utilize the rest of these ones too for that prior to the end of the fiscal year, but by the end of June, if there's any way to work that out. If not, it'll
We'll work a deal out.
come out of next year's.
Manufacturer.
So if
Oh,
can,
yeah, that's no problem.
I'm sure they'll take into account payment.
I can, so that would be. Okay, we can talk about.
Okay, sure. That's pretty much it, as far as that bank is concerned. We just need, applications, and again, there's many categories in there, including doctors and dispatchers and whatnot.
Okay. I think I'd like to have a motion to expend the $600 for the rental of the Hillcrest Fire Hall. For the awards. Okay, Dan. Second, please. Okay, a couple of them out there. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, any abstain? Okay, any other questions? In regards to the awards are for Bill Stryker? Okay, next, New York State DOH, Lisa.
It's a census regards to everybody. A couple of things, I don't know if he's mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. We are trying to link up, renewals, agency renewals, and your full service inspections to be in the same month or around the same month. So you may see us a little bit sooner, coming up, and then hopefully you'll be on that 2-year cycle, and it should be a shorter inspection because we now ask that agencies submit policies with their renewal. There has been some changes to CLIA licenses and who is approved for the fee waiver. So you have to be a volunteer agency and have a municipal contract in order to qualify to have the fee waived. And for those who don't know, the EMS Memorial was postponed, hopefully until September sometime, TBD. And that's all for me.
Any questions for Lisa? Okay. Executive Board, yes, we did have a meeting last month. Pretty much, we just went over everything in regards to the reconfiguration. There's been nothing. Rob will report on that, and maybe Brian a little bit more, but pretty much it seems like we're pretty well through that part. Rob has installed the new logo which is at the top of your agenda, if you, put it out. And, we did talk about member attendance, and then also in regards to recruitment, the RFP was put out to the executive board committee, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and there was really no talk back. It seems good to me, so probably for the next meeting, we'll be putting that out so that we can get going and get that out and do an RFP for a potential agency to assist us with, recruitment retention. Anything else from any of my executive board members that I forgot? Okay. Sounds good. Program agency.
So on the realignment, April 26th, the director sent me an email. And essentially, for lack of better terms, he said he's kind of dropping it at this point. He said, you know, if later the two councils get together and they decide they want to do a change, that will be fine, and even if it's in the middle of the contract, they will accommodate that, but as far as kind of pushing that button right now, I think the director has kind of dropped that ball, so that's really all I have. I was gonna kind of follow up with him at the state meeting next week, but as far as I'm concerned, as far as you guys are concerned, I mean, it's really a moot subject at this point, so. I received a boardable notification a couple of days ago from the chair. It looks like the education regulations got EDCC approval, so they're coming to the SEMSCO. So hopefully those get voted at the SEMSCO, in which about a few weeks later, they'll pretty much go into effect. That's where a lot of the changes in education are gonna happen for your certifications. Kind of going back to that individualized CME submission, changes the agency requirement, I believe, and level of care requirement. So a lot of things were looped into those education standards. The other thing is it changes the wording as far as practical skill. So I know that there's a tag committee out there right now that I am also part of, reviewing the standards for PSCs for the future. And that kind of coincides with the fact that as of July 1st, if you didn't know, the National Registry is getting rid of all the psychomotor exams and going pretty much to a new testing phase. I know I just received some materials on that just the other day. It looks quite interesting. They're using what's called TEI, which is different things within the testing. So you may have with the multiple choice, it may be multiple answers. It could be kind of move, drop, and drag type answers. Really installs a lot of critical thinking. And so with all those changes and everything else, the state is also looking at maybe kind of changing their PSC standards. We'll see how it goes. It is May 1st. Since it's May 1st, we needed to let everyone know the portal is now open for credentialing. To get your credential reports in, we're going to probably get a message out tomorrow on that. I do want to give props to Wales Center. They actually submitted their membership report today, so to know that that's now open. And then lastly, unless Mike has anything, lastly, we will be at the state meeting next week, so hopefully more to come after next week.
Any questions for Rob? Okay. Old business, EMS and recruitment and retention RFP. Brian, why don't you just explain a little bit what you wrote up, if you remember?
I just wrote what we discussed the last time, looking for a layered approach with good, better, best. Sent it to the executive board, and I think it didn't get out in time for us to talk about tonight, so I don't.
Yeah. So probably I'll get that out for the next meeting, and we'll get that RFP out so that everybody can review it, so we can go through it at the next meeting. Let me see. Is there any other old business? Okay, always look at my secretary for that, sorry. Okay, that we need to discuss, anybody can think of anything? Okay. Then we will move on to new business, and the first order of business will be elections for the chair-elect, Erie and Wyoming County directors. And so evidently with the chair and the chair of elect, even though it's a 2-year term, they still have to be now, or 1-year term.
1-year term.
It's a 1-year term, but we're allowed to do it 2 years consecutively.
Correct.
Okay, that's where it goes. Okay, thank you, bylaws, Dan.
And just note, this is usually, nominations usually take place in,
March,
no,
January.
November. And the
November.
elections take place in January for the positions to assume in April. The November and January meetings, I believe, were canceled due to lack of quorum,
Right,
which brought us here. So the process at this point is we need a nominating committee chair
ah,
that can then seek nominations, and then we can have the election at the next meeting in July.
okay. Is there somebody who would like to?
Bill usually does it.
No. That's not gonna work.
The nominating committee chair usually do that.
Yeah, there we go.
I've never done that.
Nominating committee for elections?
Then maybe you need to.
No.
Add it to your profile.
Yeah, no. I got way too much in my.
Okay, I'm gonna throw somebody else underneath the bus then, Sue.
What do you want me to do?
We need nominations for the chair, please.
So you want me to nominate someone now? No, what do you want me to do?
You need to chair a nominating committee,
Oh,
so we can have nominations off the floor now for the positions of chair, chair-elect, and the 4 directors. And
okay,
then have nominations over the period of the next 60 days before our July meeting, at which point you can bring nominations forward for us to have an election.
okay. Well, as long as somebody's willing to hold my hand and tell me that I'm doing it wrong, I'm good with it.
Who's done it, Bill? What has one done in the past?
Who did it in the past, Greg? Greg, who did it in the
How do
past?
you have this stroke?
Yes.
He's got the drooping a little
I
bit.
was just gonna say. What did we?
Who did?
Well, I just like my dad.
I think Ann did it last. Huh? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, November was canceled because I didn't think there was any business, but there was business because you were supposed to nominate officers. Oh, wow.
November 22.
Huh?
November 22.
Yeah, it probably was November of 22. Okay, we will work with you on that, so,
Okay,
okay?
At the terminal.
So you can gather who you want as your committee,
okay.
unless you want me to appoint people as your committee. Probably to have one from Wyoming and one from Erie would be good.
Okay. Does anybody want to volunteer? You want to volunteer? Shake your head, no, I get stuck.
Right over there.
Yeah, well, no, she ain't a member yet.
I'm not a member yet.
Yeah, she's.
Otherwise, I would absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll move on and
All
we'll
right,
discuss
move
that
on.
later and make the committee, okay? Okay, that is fine. So that will be on hold until July. Okay,
Cannot be, well, it can be on hold till July, but we are already now with this meeting into the subsequent term. We
yes,
should have already elected officers to this
long
point.
time ago in land
So
far,
the
far away.
nominations committee needs to do work to bring the nominations forward in July, so we can have the election.
Yes, in July, yes, yes, yes. Okay, here is the next thing about the July meeting. It is on July the 3rd. So do we want to meet on July the 3rd, or do we want to think about meeting on maybe July the 10th?
Not the 3rd.
Not the 3rd. Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Thank you. Okay, so do I have, is a SEMSCO on July the 10th?
No,
No,
the
okay.
next SEMSCO won't be until.
Okay, so may I have a motion to change the meeting from July the 3rd to July the 10th?
Motion, so moved.
Okay, let's get that, Chris, Julia, and Bill. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, we got that done. So the next meeting will be July the 10th. Okay, who has to notify South Wales?
Sure.
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Any other new business that anybody can think of?
I do.
Yes, okay, Bill does.
Just for informational purposes, the EMS coordinators, I'm gonna call from most of Western New York counties, have been meeting every other week just to discuss what's going on in each of those counties. Talking about what's going on with EMS. A lot of different counties have sprung up, new EMS programs. A couple counties are still struggling tremendously. So we meet every 2 weeks, get everybody on board what's going on. Obviously, for me, what's going on in Orange County doesn't really affect me. But it's just good to know, the industry is going to work very well. I'm glad to put that together and I'm starting to get a little bit more impressed with his IT capabilities. As long as it's done. Get a little star.
Yeah, the other thing, and the extension of that is also we're trying to rejuvenate New York State EMS Coordinators Association that basically met once a year. Had vital signs of whoever showed up and nothing was really ever done, so. Tomorrow we have an executive board meeting to kick off things, we're breaking the state into, I think, 6 different regions, similar to what the fire departments do. And there'll be a region director to coordinate that area. Our section up here is been one of the most active, if you look across. Jefferson County are doing fairly well, Madison County is doing good. But up here, we have a regular meeting, and we limit it to 30 minutes, and that's the best part is we stick with it. Yeah, so I won't hold this meeting up and we'll talk. But, so we're trying to rejuvenate that stuff.
Okay. Okay, any questions? Any other new business?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing.
That's okay.
Vital Signs Conference, the housing is open. And we're hoping that the agenda will be coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested, Vital Signs is in Rochester this year. If you are interested in going or think you're gonna be interested in going, I would get your housing early, but it's open now. So that's it.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other new business?
We should all hug ourselves, give us, we can come on.
That's true, it is.
Hug it on elderly man, yeah.
Oh, an elderly one? Okay, if that is the case and we are done, then have a motion to adjourn, please.
Oh, I did that.
I appreciate everybody who is coming and thank you to our new members who are coming.
It's service.
There may be another one.
I meant to text you and say, check it out. It's not a burden.
You want to read?
Some of the people.